Mario once again, and this is the MIA Microflight Quicksilver style half scale. Some of the parts that I've been working on, and I've been putting quite a bit of time here, just making some of these parts that are done a little bit different on the smaller ones, just making them a little more beefier. A lot of these clips, I use a lot of clips on the smaller ones, nylon clips, as I have mentioned in various videos. But on this one I decided to just bite the bullet and do my own here, because this particular size just requires a little more beef or beefier or thickness on some of these components that I've been using, from just off-the-shelf components. Of course, the off-the-shelf components are not your typical off-the-shelf components that you can get them through hardware stores. I have a particular vendor that I've been dealing with to provide me these clips that are very nice, robust, and are very just a little higher quality than the typical ones you find at local hardware stores or even Amazon or even any place on the internet. So, but for this particular size, I've been doing quite a bit of work. As you can see here, I have quite a number of components here. Most of these are clips because I don't like to connect tubing. In other words, I don't like to drill through the tubing, right through the tubing with a hole and attach it to another one, like if this was to be connected in cross form, to another tube, through a bolt right there. So what I do instead, and I've said this in many videos and how I explain how my products are done, is I flatten the ends of my tubing and I rather connect here with a nice, heavy, thick bolt, relative to the size of the tubing, obviously. And that's how I do most of my connections. So any connections that are done with my tubing, aluminum tubing, is done at the ends. It's not a through hole through the wall of the tubing, because this tubing is, even though it's 1/16 or 1/32 of an inch, in some cases it's 1/16 on the bigger tubes. It's still it's still a risk factor for that cracking or bending. It's just another point that weakens the tube. So you're much better attaching things at the ends like that. The way I do it is in fact, here's a good example of that. You can see how that's attached, and so that's how I attach most of my aircraft. And or it's done, tube to tube, or flat end to flat end, the way you see it here, with a bolt and a nylon nut where it requires. I don't use nylon nuts with these connectors because these are plastic, and just a nice star washer, like this one right here. You see, that's a star washer. That kind of grips into the plastic, so it's not required. On some connections like the ailerons, where it's control surfaces, I use nylon nuts because that's a little more secure. You don't want that vibrating coming loose. Although this never in 25 years of doing this kind of work and flying these models, I've never had one of these things loosen up. If it's done with a star lock nut onto plastic or even metal, because that star washer that's part of the nut really grips into the material. So just thought I explained that. Many of my customers, or all of my customers, I should say, who have my models, they already know that because they have the product in their hands. But this is for new viewers or potential new customers that are looking at this information here. So this video is about all these parts that I've been making to do all these connections. You can see here I have a set of hinges. These are also customized hinges for this particular size here. I may even scale this down so that I can use it on my smaller ones. My smaller ones are done a little bit different here. Let me see if I can find and this is how I work basically. You can see this. I work almost like a painter works with paints. I start with a bunch of components, colors. You can see here I have variations of colors and components, and I just I'm not particularly organized in the sense of starting at one point and having all the parts, arranged in that little spot and just working from that spot on. In other words, this has a if we look at this right here, this would be the starting point right here where all these three lines XYZ meet. And so this is the smaller model, the MIA Quicksilver style 1/5 scale that I sized that up to a 1/8, which is or 1/4 scale rather, which is what these are. This is my quarter scale. You've seen the real one in some other videos that have this color designation, the yellow, blue, and red and white. And this is the model of that I just brought in here so that I can make all these other parts that you see here. I've been also 3D printing, testing these parts. So there's quite a bit of work that's involved in doing this for anybody that does, that's into industrial design or has done product design or just, amateur hobbyists that do this type of things. There's a lot of people that already know how to use CAD. It's not really hard, with today's programs. And there's a lot of stuff that's on the cloud. I don't work with the cloud, obviously, because I'm a small company, and I don't, it just doesn't make sense to put it, that all my designs, that I work very hard on, in the cloud, for anybody to download, so I don't do that, and I much rather print these parts and give it to my customers, it just is not beneficial for any company, to put out files, that anybody can download, especially when you do this type of work. So, I mean, it's just a common sense point, and I'm sure, many of you guys that view my stuff understand that. And I appreciate that the customers are, one particular customer that I've been working with on a more personal level, it's a very nice customer, and he knows who he is, and he knows that I'm working on these parts, because he's going to get some of these parts himself, So I do work with customers at those levels. It just depends. I like honesty with people. People. It's just a mutual respect. If I respect people and people respect me, my work. I work with them, and you can just tell by the type of communication that you're able to, the correspondence, in that case, via text messages, phone calls, who you're dealing with, and some of these customers, I've never had a customer that was unscrupulous in that respect. Most of my customers are very level-headed people that know what they're buying, that know the type of work I do, and I like working with people that are like that are true, to their character. Very, very seldom I've come across people that are not true to their character, and I just don't work with those people the same way I work with obviously, because it's like I said, it's mutual respect. And so this video is also for him to just to keep him updated, and also for a couple other customers that I've been doing these 1/8 scale. This is actually sized for this 1/8 scale ultralight. Yes, this is not a 1/8. I keep saying 1/8. What I mean, I'm thinking of 8 in terms of an 8-footer, which is what the wingspan is. This is actually a quarter scale model, and so I've been working on the quarter scale, and all these parts are being sized accordingly to the half scale model, which is on another drawing, another file that I have here. I'm not showing that obviously here because this is for the quarter scale, but all these parts are being sized for that other model, for that particular customer that I've been working with on the half scale. These are also for another customer that I'm also have been working on. He knows also who he is, and these are his two models here that obviously the wing is not a complete wing like this one here. It's not a full a fully designed wing. It's just a rectangular section here, and this is just, I did this just to get an idea of the color schemes that he ordered. He ordered this in that color scheme, and he ordered this in a color scheme. I took the liberty to do these parts in those colors here that you see, the red plate, the red seat, the red wheels, to match his aircraft, you know, because I think it looks a lot, it really brings out the model in these particular colors. And I did that the same to this particular color scheme that he selected, and I did this in green, you know, with the wheels, the plate, and the seat also, so that it matches, and it really brings out the aircraft. And like I said, even though this is not a full wing as this other one right here, I just wanted to get an idea, a real quick idea of how the model would look, you know, with those colors. And so this is for that other customer that he also knows who he is, and I'm sure that when he sees this, he'll know, you know, he'll know exactly what that these are for his order that I've been working on. So this is the other one. Again, this is a quarter scale model. This has an 8-foot wing, or near 8-foot wing, because, you know, it's not an exact 8 foot, but, you know, it's around an 8-foot wing. It's a very nice flyer. The other customer that I'm working with on the half scale, he has also this particular size, the quarter scale, and he's been doing many flights with that. He just texted me a little while ago, and I thought I mentioned that because he just wrote to me. He says, Mario, you know, I'm really enjoying the quarter scale one, and he's about to build the half scale, which you know, should probably take him maybe another week or so, because I think he's going to work on the half scale this weekend with all the aluminum tubing that he's already bought. For that particular customer, I am not supplying him a whole complete kit, because it would be just a little too expensive. You know, if I were to cut all these tubes for him and ship it, and you know, the box would have to be much larger. Shipping a box that large is not a big deal, but, you know, when it comes to costs, you know, it starts getting really expensive. You know, when it comes to shipping, you know, a much larger box, and with all that weight. So, you know, it's much better for him to just buy the tubes locally, and these are nothing special. These tubes that I'm using on the half scale, because they're just aluminum tubing that you can get locally through your Lowe's, Home Depot places. And so, but I am building all these parts, you know, in lieu that he's you know, he's going to need some kind of connections here, and he's just a super customer, and I really enjoy working with him. And you know, I've been kind of sharing these things with him, so that this is for him, the half scale customer that also has the quarter scale Quicksilver, and he also has the smaller one, but he's really enjoying the quarter scale, as he's told me. And I'm glad he's enjoying that model, because it is a much larger model, and anybody that has flown, you know, large scale aircraft knows, you know, that the larger the scale, the more realistic these things fly. You know, it's just the nature of the dynamics, you know, in flight are much more realistic. And so yeah, so this is just an update on all these parts that I've been working on. And like I said, you know, I work as like a painter. You know, I take all the paints, all these little pieces that then make up the final painting, which would be the aircraft as you see it here. And this is not even complete that much, because this also has some other components that I've been trying and testing, and for fit and look and feel, you know, how the aircraft is going to turn out. So it's got a lot of these other components. This is not supposed to be here. It's something, let me, that's not supposed to be there. These aircrafts are not, they don't have canopies. So these aircrafts do not have canopies. These are open frame design like that, so it looks really nice, and it really shows up the you know, the seat, you know, all these components. This is a very customized block that I also redesigned for the quarter scale one right here that you're seeing here. Is my steering block, and this block right here. I'm also doing these parts in PETG, and I used to use, for the smaller ones, I make them in PLA, because it's not a not a big deal. But for these larger ones that require a little more strength, I I am doing these parts in PTG. Of course, PTG is a little bit a little more difficult to print because well, not so much difficult, but it just requires a little more time. This PTG has to be printed at lower rates and with a much higher temperature than PLA. PTG is around 220, 230, 240. I run my PTG parts at around 225, 230 on my machines, and every machine is different because it depends on the heater, how those heaters were spec'd, and what the real temperature of those heaters are at. And every machine is different, so you have to you kind of play around with those settings in your slicer program to give you the best results. And so I've already done that. I've been doing this for many years, and so you build up some kind of a you know where to adjust things, sometimes without even thinking. And so this is my block. You can see how beefy that block is. It's very, very beefy and well reinforced. You can see the walls here, and there's even a profile here that I did, just to beef up these parts, this particular part right here. And you can see how that part is very, very robust. So this is how I work, with my CAD programs. You can see it's spread all over my drawing area here. You can see I make all kinds of wings here, and because it's real easy to just replicate this in CAD. Just make a copy of that, make a copy, change the colors, change a couple of things, and if you like it, you keep that. But at least you haven't lost the original part right here. This is my original here that's been kind of dismantled so that I can get an idea where all these parts are going to fit and how they're going to go. Also on the larger ones, and sometimes changes, small changes here and there are required to work with the larger models. And a larger model, it may require relocation of these parts because you just have a lot more room to work with, a lot more area. And so this is basically just to give you an idea how I work with these things. Once I'm done with this and I have selected all the right components, then I make a group, as you see it here. I make these groups. These are some spacers that I've been working. I've been designing to provide a spacer between my hinge points. If I decide to use the standard clip components that I use for my ailerons. So these are some of the spacers there. I have not decided just yet whether I'm going to use these or just go with customized clips like these right here that provide the hinging for the ailerons for the elevator. You can see my elevator here. It's got that customized hinge there. There's the other customized hinge there. You can see just a quick view of this. And I know that this, I typically do, in the past, let me say it this way. In the past, I was very reluctant to showing this level of detail on my drawings, and not on my drawings because the drawings go out to the customer as part of the kit that they purchase. So I have to provide those CAD illustrated instructions step by step. And those get built from this model right here. As anybody that has done this type of work already knows, it just makes things a lot easier. Can you imagine, just for the sake of, I'm deviating a little bit here in my explanation. Can you imagine in the old days of working in on a drafting table, doing this by hand? And I've done that, in the past, back in the late 70s, early 80s. I used to work with a drafting table. Not for any particular company, just for my own things that I was developing back then. I was developing these rubber-powered helicopters, so all my drawings back in those days were done by hand. And you make a mistake, you have to basically start over or just erase, make sure that you erase it clean. And it's just wow, the change that we have experienced, going from those days, to the days of CAD, are just, it's like night and day. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of deviate a little bit on that. And so Yeah, so this is basically I was saying once this is all cleaned up, then I generate another file, and where it just shows the actual model at that particular size that it's intended to be, and all the components that go along with that, and then I make a just a parts tree, and then I print that if they can fit all in the area, then my tables, 3D printing tables, are um, are are um, are at. So yeah, I was also saying that in the past I did not give this level of detail, but as I got older, I started finding out that I'm not in my younger days, so I don't. I probably have maybe 10 more years of my life. God willing. Um, and I'm not saying this because I'm sick or because I'm or anything like that. I'm just saying this just naturally the average lifespan of a person is around around 70 some years, and so I have to be it's kind of it's kind of one of those things that you don't want to talk about if you don't have to, but I have no problem at this point talking about these things because life is very, very short, let me put it this way, and to be able to and to it, when you get older, you start seeing what's really, really important in life, and these things become less and less important. So what? You give this information, somebody can lift this up and take it from there, and you can basically do the same thing I'm doing just by showing this thing. Just take a snapshot and work from there. But it would be silly to do that when you can just get the CAD or get the actual drawings of the real thing and just work from there and just superimpose those, put them on your CAD, and just go trace all that stuff out. As I have sort of done, in sort of re-engineering these things for um, for the hobby. Of course, I there's a lot of stuff that is done from the ground up, because I do sometimes use some real photos of the real thing. I prefer taking my own photos of the real aircraft, if I can have access to that, because that allows me to take certain angles of the aircraft where I can use, for just to make sure that I'm getting the just that look and feel of the aircraft. Of course, I employ my own look and feel on these aircraft. So as you can see here from this point of view, if you put this directly over the profile of the actual Quicksilver, now this is another reason why I say these are Quicksilver style, because they're done in my particular style. You will see that some of these components are not there. They don't use the same components. The fin, it is a fin that is one piece vertical stabilizer and rudder. Of course, that's just part of the that's a style of the Quicksilver. The wing can be any ultralight wing. It doesn't matter. That has no particular style. It's just a rectangular wing. Same with the ailerons, and same with the even the elevator section. Yeah, the elevator has all these little angles here, that make it a little more attractive. Actually, the original was rectangular, and I think in the later models they did this sort of kind of bending this just to give it a little more stylized horizontal stabilizer. And I've done the same thing with my. I'm not keen on replicating that exact as the original ones, and I do this pretty much where I think it is in my point of view. Aesthetically pleasing to my eyes, and so there's a lot of re-massaging, if you will, of these of the geometry and these in the way that I approach these things. And so, as I was saying, the angles are different. This is a little more also stylized because I like my aircraft to have that sort of angle look. It's not vertical like this. If you look at the original one, the original full scale, these connections are more vertical, and these are done with the wires and things, except for the latest one that uses a topless wing. A topless wing means that there's no kink post and there's no wires attached to that. And I never really cared for that. Although my first prototype, a long time ago, I did it with wires. I wanted to make it look the same thing, but there's the benefits are are much higher if you minimize some of that complexity and you just make it nice and clean. And so therefore, this is a topless wing, in that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a wing, but it doesn't have the cables and all those connections. So it's called a topless wing design. So this has struts from these points right here. And even my struts, the way I connect them, they're done a little bit different. Of course, you can see the parts are my own parts. This is my seat is my own seat, even though it kind of looks like any type of aircraft seat that you would use on an ultralight, and it is done with perforations, to keep it lightweight. My base plate right here, I mean, like I said, my steering column, my steering block, it's my own. It's it's something that I came up with a lot of thought in thinking, how can I attach these points right here to a part that's also going to support the steering wheel in a robust, aesthetically pleasing way. And so this is, if you look at the real one, that's done, of course, with the welded plates in a tube, in a cross tube. It's kind of similar in location of components, but it's totally different in design approach and materials. So just to give you an idea, for anybody that likes a little history and how these things are made, I like finding out, from people that design things, how they approach things, because every designer approaches things in a different way. These people that design for a living, are very unique people, and myself included, because we take pride. We like to take pride. Designers like to take pride in the way they approach things, and this is what has been keeping MIA Microflight afloat. I believe, to some degree, in the stuff that I've been doing, because so far nobody has done this type of work in the 25 years or even more that I've been operating as MIA Microflight. It doesn't mean that there are other people that can also do this, but I do this for I started doing this for fun as a hobby, and I had these models way back in the early 80s, when I started all my with the intent to establishing a small company. I started back then just as a hobby and just doing it for my own sake. And so a lot of these things are not new from that perspective. In fact, right at the pinnacle of hang gliding, we're talking about the 70s. I mean, I go back quite a bit of time for those that are younger generation. I started at that pinnacle of the hang gliding, so a lot of these things, I wanted those things, the full scale ones in a scale form, in model form, that I can, if I don't have the time to go fly the real thing, I can just grab one of these and just go to my local park and fly it. So that's how this is how this got started, from my end. But yeah, so that's this is just a little bit of more insight, a little more information for my customers where I'm at with this. And once again, I'm very thankful to my customers that are very patient with me. And I like to reward my customers with some things. Sometimes I like to surprise my customers with some new parts that they probably weren't expecting. And so those customers that kind of share that information word of mouth, I think they know that, because I don't even advertise anymore for these things, and I get orders. I'm very appreciative of those customers for relying and trusting trusting other people that have that. Perhaps they have seen the real thing, and sometimes they just trust my work. And I think it's because I'm very honest in sharing these things with my viewers, with my customers. Once again, I don't get a lot of views, and I don't know what it is. I personally believe that it has to do with an algorithm issue with my company, with my name. Even comments that I post on many videos, I never get a thumbs up, while others are getting thumbs up in the thousands. And I question that. I say, that's kind of odd, that I don't get anything. So I have even requested, please, it's not that I'm trying to advertise my name or my company. just my comment. I put a comment. I say, if you see this comment, give me a thumbs up. But nobody gives me a thumbs up. So I think I think I'm being ghosted. I don't want to get into the politics of that, because it gets into another realm of things. So and like I said, I share these things. I am at an age where, to me, there's a lot more things that are important. My health right now is number one. My family is number two, and just living a little bit longer. Doing fun stuff that I've been doing, and just trying to survive, because I'm not a rich man. I don't rely on my riches. I rely on my work, and I have to be. I have to keep myself healthy and sane, because there's so many things in this world that can really they can really knock you down, and you just have to be strong of character and spirit, and move on. So for my customers, for people that are out there that are of decent character, and are really truly great, honest people, thank you so much. Mario with MIA Motor Flight.